Hi guys, I'm here with my one little word process for March, but before I get started on the March prompt, I just wanted to finish up a little bit of February's because I did actually complete my This Month I Will task. So I used Ellie's freebie digital, and just created my own little template here, and I'm going to do one of these for each month. But I just resized it and edited it a little bit so that I could fit 3 up on an A4 page, and I've just added that grey square because that's where I'm going to put a photo each month of me doing the task, I guess. So my goal for February was to take myself out alone for a bit of a donut and coffee date, and I did it. And although it was quite a step out of my comfort zone, I will tell you, I don't often do things like that alone. I really enjoyed myself, and I am glad that I did go out on a limb a little bit there. So I took a selfie at the time, so I've just stuck that down, and I've added the date, well, not the date, the month. I can't believe this, out of all of my stash of stamps, the only stamps that I have with dates on them is that one little roller stamp from Heidi Swap. And I really don't like roller stamps, so I'll see how I go, but that's what I've decided to go with. I'm just adding the month down the bottom. At the top I'll put what my activity was, and then underneath I'm just going to add a little bit of journaling about how that went. And then I can add that into my pocket page of the pocket page notebook. So because I've made that so it's 3 up on an A4, it is slightly too narrow for the actual pocket page, and I thought it would be alright, but you can see there's quite a large gap. So I'm going to end up pulling that back out, trimming it down, and adding it to a backing piece of paper later on. But for now, I'm just going to carry on with the March prompt, which is going to go on my right hand side here, the actual paper page, and on the back of the pocket page on that left hand side I'm going to leave space to add a full page photo later on in the month. Once I've gone through this practice a little bit more, I might have some photos so I can add one in there. Now, I found this balance sticker when I was doing a bit of a stash clear out, and I couldn't believe it was actually there. I think it's an old Studio Calico sticker, and it was the only one left from the sheet, so I figured it was perfect. I could save it and hoard it for something better, but I figured why not use it this month. So it's going to become part of my title. I'm not actually using any of the printables from this month. I'm just going to create a page in my pocket page notebook here. So I'm going to put practice balance because this month is about practice, as Ellie says, and what I want to practice is balance. So I'm just spelling out practice with these tiny little stickers here, which were a little bit fiddly. Eventually I get them all lined up and can just stick them above the word balance there, and I really like them. I like the 2 different fonts together. That all worked out really nicely. Although I obviously didn't stick that I down very well and it slipped all over the place, so I make sure I give that a good press. Now, like I said, I'm not using the printables, so I do need a tracker of some sort, and luckily I had this tracker stamp from Feed Your Craft, so I'm going to use that instead of the digital tracker. It just was easier for me to be able to stamp something in rather than try and resize the printable to fit. There are way too many circles on here though, so I'm just partially inking up the stamp to leave out the bottom row, just with some Hero Arts ink, and I'm going to leave a space to put what my practice will be, and then just stamp it in. It's really light pale blue, looks blotchy now, but I love those Hero Arts inks. They do sort of even out quite nicely. And I'm just going to fill in a couple of these now because this is the 6th when I'm filming this, so I know that I have already been practicing this month, so I'm just going to fill in the days that I've already done, and I'll just leave this little stamp out on my desk so that I can keep doing it. I probably won't do it daily, but I'll try and keep track of it that way. And now I go to write in what my practice is, and I really don't like the way it looks, so I'm going to have to try and cover it up. I wanted to put 1 line, but it wasn't going to fit on 1, so I tried to put it on 2, and then it ended up needing to be 3, and I just hate it. So I'm going to grab a label out of my stash. There was a think they're from Feed Your Craft too, actually, some of her little kits, so it covered it up perfectly. So I'm just going to run that through my typewriter this time rather than handwrite it, and then I can stick that on the page. So the way I run that through my typewriter is I just stick the label onto a piece of paper and run it through that way. I don't have any temporary adhesive, so I literally just use tape runner and then I peel it off the paper and stick that down. So my practice this month, and I really loved that Ellie points out that it doesn't have to be hard, it doesn't have to be like this super hard achievable thing, it can be really easy. And so my practice for this month is that I am going to leave this house every day. It might not seem like a big thing for a lot of people, but because I work at home, I obviously live at home, all my hobbies are based at home, it's really easy for me to go literally days and days and days without leaving my house, and that's not really good for my mental health. So my practice this month is going to be leaving the house every day. It doesn't matter what for. It could be to take the dog for a walk or to go and catch up with friends, but at some point during each day I am going to leave this house. And so underneath my tracker, I'm leaving a space for my reflections at the end of the month, but I figured I might as well use some more of these really pretty little stickers and spell out the word reflection, so I know that I have got something to fill in there. And I just want to write some lines in, or draw some lines in, sorry, and so I'm going to use this template that I've made for myself. I struggle with getting my writing straight in these notebooks, so I figured a couple of different templates wouldn't be a bad idea. So I tried a few different plastics, and this ended up being shrinky dink plastic. So I used a knife and a blade and cut some different lines for me in there, and as you can see, it worked really well. Now on the back of my tracking page, I'm going to add the same thing as I did before, one of my monthly practice sheets, and so this one I am trimming down so that it will fit on top of the page, and then I am going to use that same roller stamp to stamp the date really badly. Sorry, I keep saying date, I mean month really badly. And then I can just go ahead and glue that down. Of course, there's nothing really to fill in on here yet. I don't have a photo or anything like that, just to fill in the activity task that I wanted to do. And I decided instead of using black pen, I would carry on that theme and use a colored pen in here. So I grabbed a pink pen, and my task this month is to finish a book. I started the year off with this goal of reading more, and I've just done really badly at it. And I've got like 3 half-finished ones sitting there. So I just need to make the time to actually sit down and do some reading. Now the last thing I want to do in my notebook today is I decided I wanted to add some monthly tabs in here. So I just grabbed some of these Avery Elle index tabs, and the whole ones looked too big. So I cut one in half and decided to see how that worked, and I think it will actually work fine. So I'll just use a little half a tab for each month. So I just cut the wee strip down, and I'm going to use that same roller stamp to stamp out the month just to add on to the insert paper, and then I can slip that into the half of the tag and stick that onto the page where the month begins. So the only place that got a little bit tricky was when I got to March, because technically March starts on the left hand side, but I'm not going to sweat it. I am just going to stick the tab onto the right hand side. It's really just a visual reminder of for what month I'm up to and how far I've actually progressed. So I mean, I'm quite proud because I've made it through the March prompt this year, so I'm already beating last year's record. Just like the way that it breaks up the notebook a little bit, and it will make things easier to find. For instance, if I want to look back on my vision boards, I can just really easily flip to the February tab and find those vision boards there. So that is my notebook so far. I'm really looking forward to this monthly practice. Fingers crossed I manage more days than not, which is always my goal. I'd love to know what it is that you guys are practicing this month. So if you are participating in this prompt, let me know in the comments what it is that you're going to attempt to do every day. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to keep watching, there's a couple more videos on screen. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye.